That title is not a typo. I am planning on planting 374 pepper plants today. Today is February 25th. Do I need 374? Honestly, we go through a lot of peppers. My experience has been that I will end up with about a third lost due to me forgetting to water, issues in growing, or as was the case last year, some of the longer varieties just didn't have enough time to grow with our season. So we ended up with basically really pretty plants, but not a lot of fruit. So this year the plan is to go big or go home. I'm going to plant 374, variety of old and new seeds, so I don't expect all of these to germinate perfectly. My hope is about 90% sweet peppers and about 10% hot peppers. So we're going to start with the sweet peppers. I know what I'm doing with those. That one is a tried and true plan here. I am going with two varieties. I am going with Cubanelle, seed from MI Gardener. I've had outstanding luck with that. I have a pack from last year and a pack from this year. And I'm going with Big Red, also from MI Gardener. Both of these are high producers in my experience. Both of them have had extremely good germination, so I'm going to see what I have left. Some of these are, like I said, older seeds. I'm just going to do one per cell. Obviously, I've got more than enough planned with this, so I don't need to worry too much about that. Past years, I have kind of played around with different methods for the peppers. And this year I've settled on 128 cell trays. That's what I have here. I have a Pro Mix in them. I will not do much other than to let them do their thing. They will be in a bright sunny window all spring and will be obviously the very last thing to go out just because of the cooler evening temperatures we have. Past years I have tried to pot them up 2 or 3 times. I don't know that I'm going to do that this year. When I look at what's grown in stores and I look at the size of those plants, mine are not that much bigger. In fact, sometimes they're quite a bit smaller. So I would rather focus on bushy, healthy plants than the time and energy, honestly, to pot them up. May change my mind as the year progresses, but that's the plan right now. Past years, my biggest issue has been containing the increasing the heat and the humidity just to get them strong before they go out. I did not last year have the hoop house in its current format, so I think that certainly contributed to it. But plan this year is to get stuff out. I'm planning on building some type of heat-containing box. Don't recall who I saw it. Somewhere online, somebody had built basically a 4 by 8 foot box with a heat lamp in it. So they could leave their stuff out at night, and that heat lamp would go on and keep it warm on those unpredictable spring nights. My luck in the past has not been great with keeping stuff out overnight because the temperatures that are predicted and the actual temperatures seem to be quite different. Sometimes upwards of 6-8 degrees. So I will probably this year be a little bit more careful with just keeping stuff inside. I'd rather have them inside and be taking over the house than outside and lose something due to an unexpected frost some night. Mentioned in one of my previous videos, I have a 40 by 80 foot garden made up of wide rows. Everything this year will be weed block fabric, just because I don't have the time most days to get out and do the weeding need to. I do very little watering. It's a question I often get. How much water does that take? Well, honestly, not much. I get the plants doing their thing. Last year was very dry, and I still only watered once in a while the stuff that needed it, mainly transplants. Anything else that needed it was kind of on an ad needed basis. As a point of comparison, I cut my grass 4 times last year. That's how dry it was. So I think my plan this year is to do a little bit more in terms of some drip systems. I have the weed block in, I have the rows set. I burned holes in the weed block fabric last year, and I tried to make it on commonly used spacings, so I don't have anything that's terribly crop specific. So my plan this year is to kind of reuse that as much as I can. If I need to, I can switch because it came in a 6 foot long or 6 foot wide row. I can shift that around as needed and still do what I need to do. So that is the plan. I don't want to double those up too much. People ask sometimes what I do with so many peppers, and the answer is a little of everything. They go on almost every meal that we cook. Last year I did a lot of salsa. My plan this year is to kind of do a mixture of some of that and some pickling. Look at that, we got four Cubanelle seeds left for next year, I guess. So there's tray 1, Big Red and Cubanelle. $128, tray 2. I have a number of varieties that I'm just doing little small quantities of, especially the hot peppers. My plan this year is to really keep good records of what I do, what I plant, how it goes, numbers planted, numbers germinated, that sort of thing. I do say that every year, and every year it seems to be kind of a hodgepodge of guessing what I did, where I planted. I'm planting fewer varieties this year, so I'm hoping that that will give me a little bit better control over where stuff is, because I won't be looking for 40 varieties of peppers. I'll be looking for 6 main ones and a couple of smaller groups. So we'll see. This is Red Mercury. I planted these last year. They did not turn, for the most part, terribly great red. However, they were very meaty. So we enjoyed being able to kind of chop them up into something. They freeze very well. I'm still working through frozen peppers from last year. Last year I tried for my processing, just because of time constraints, to put as much frozen stuff in as I could as mixes. So it would be some Cubanelle. I would throw in maybe a single jalapeno in a bag, something like that. So I had a lot of options. Did have a few surprises, I will admit, this year. Took out a bag and thought it was a mild pepper mix, because that's what I thought when I put it together, and ended up being a little too spicy to use in the average meal, but it's still fun. This will be the second year that I am planting everything that I will grow from seed, and that includes flowers. I've got a video, hopefully get to it today, with some flower plans. I am a big fan of kind of experimenting with that stuff and letting it do its thing. I've never had a shortage of plants, and I've never had a shortage of stuff that did really, really well. Not always predictable, far from it in fact, but haven't had any major issues, so that's kind of been my go-to method. I'm adding this year, hopefully, an additional garden plot. I have a plan to fence in an additional area of the yard and do more landscaped flowers and things around it. I think that would be a little nicer looking than just the traditional garden rows, or row after row of shrubs and that. So I think I'm going to try and do some more intercropping and edible landscapes, I guess they call that. So This is Big Jim peppers. I grew some of these last year. They did quite well. I had not a whole lot in terms of yield per plant. I was anticipating maybe a little bit more because they didn't get terribly large. They are not a, well, I guess I would say they're not just a sweet pepper. They have a little bit of a kick to them. I wouldn't call it spice, but enough that they can do, if you're a salsa person, but you don't like spicy salsa, these are kind of the way to go, I think. We are not huge spice people, so I won't be planting a lot of jalapenos and habaneros and stuff like that, but we do like a little bit more than just the sweet flavors. I've got one left. I've got some Keystone Resistant Giants. I don't believe I did those last year. I know I had the seeds, but I don't think I actually ended up with any. So I think we're going to do a couple rows of these and see how we do. I got one little Big Jim pepper that got in the wrong spot. We're going to have to get him out or I'll be confused as to why my Keystone Giants are the wrong color. Last but certainly not least, we'll do some Keystone Giants. These seeds I actually have in a couple varieties. These are just, I believe these are the Valley Green is either Menards. I believe they're the Menards one. The 49-cent packets that are on sale once in a while for 10 cents. I pick up a few each year and throw them in